Yes. You ready? Thank you. Hello, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's meeting on this 24th day of October. I also like to welcome and thank our local legislators, our stakeholders, our board, and our staff and CEOs. At this time, we would like to do a roll call, please, Beverly.
Directors. Director Emerson.
Here.
Director Odell. Here. Director Stone. Present. Director Lockett.
Here.
Director Adams.
Here.
Director Robinson.
Present.
Director Leggett.
Here.
Director Taylor.
Here.
And Chairman Cody.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum for today's meeting.
Thank you. Before we go into approval of today's agenda, we would like to get approval to amend today's agenda to include the zero fare services for the election day, and we'd like to move that to the individual action items. I need to get a, sir. All right.
I got a question.
Yes.
Are we approving to leave some of these items on the consent agenda?
No, we're gonna remove a item once we get to the consent item.
Okay, so we're just approving the adding of this on.
Yes.
Okay, and we have a motion made by Director Lockett. And a second?
Yeah.
Okay, Director Adams. Thank you. And Chairman,
Yeah.
I have your roll call vote.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Director Emerson.
Here, I mean, yeah.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Director Odell.
Yes.
Director Stone. Yes. Director Lockett.
Yes.
Director Adams.
Yes.
Director Robinson.
Yes.
Director Leggett.
Yes. Here. What I say? Yes.
Director Leggett. Not present for the vote. Director Taylor.
Yes.
And Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for the amendment to today's agenda.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent items. We're going to approve the agenda with the amendment. Yes. Thank you.
Beverly, we've moved it to the consent item. Just that one item.
We're gonna move it to the consent.
No, we're moving that one item to the consent agenda that you all just did, that correct?
Once we get to the second, we're gonna have an opportunity
Mhm.
to add.
Got it. Hold on a second. I thought we were moving it to the individual action.
We're gonna place the zero fare services for the election day under individual action items.
I'm sorry.
And now we're gonna go to the consent agenda and we're gonna take number 8. We're gonna move that to the individual action item.
At any time, once we introduce the consent item,
What about,
a board member can remove the item. But at this, today, staff is actually recommending the removal of the item.
I'm having trouble hearing.
No,
Okay, I'm sorry. So right now, we're just approving the agenda. Once we get to the consent agenda, the board members are welcome to remove any item at any time. Okay. And place it in the area. Okay.
and I need to be clear on item number 8.
Uh-huh.
I thought we were moving that all together and putting on November's agenda.
We are, but we gotta move it to individual action items first.
And vote to do it then.
Then we'll vote to move it.
and where's the other one? The uniform, wasn't it on here?
That's already an old.
That's under other old business.
All right, so now you need a motion
To approve the consent items, yes, ma'am.
Okay, with the removal of number 8.
Yes.
Okay, I make that motion.
Second.
All right.
I have
Beverly?
one question.
Yes.
On number 11, are we gonna have discussion on that under this consent item, or if we vote on it, there's no discussion?
If you vote on it as a consent item, it just moves forward. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's move it, 11.
Move it.
Individual, I got a question.
Okay, so you need me to amend my motion to include 8 and 11.
Yes.
Yes.
And so moved to approve the consent agenda with removing items number 8 and 11.
Dr. Roberts?
I'll second.
Can I also add 9?
9? Contract services.
Okay. Y'all sure you want to approve the consent agenda? Okay. Then I approve the consent agenda with the exception of 8, 9, and 11.
And I second again.
Beverly, can we get a roll call, please?
Chairman, we have a motion made by Director Stone and seconded by Director Robinson to approve items under consent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10.
Yes.
I'll do a roll call vote. Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
and Chairman Coker.
Yes,
Chairman, motion passed.
thank you. I'm gonna go into the consent. We'll move to, our individual action item.
Yes, sir.
Okay, number 1, camera systems for 2 smart grant program vehicles. Got any comments?
I just have one.
Yes.
When you look at these cameras, under the smart grant, this is the end of it all, or we'll be purchasing more cameras? And will be from the same vendor?
We'll be purchasing more cameras for future vehicles. And it will be from whoever is our approved vendor at that time. It could very well still be this vendor. Or if there's been an additional procurement in the ensuing period of time, it would be from that vendor. But if for the time being, it would be from our approved vendor.
So in the future, we'll be doing other RFPs, or we'll be doing another RFP for,
Ms. Cutter, can you remind me of what the contract term is for the current vendor, the camera vendor? Do you remember what the term is of that contract?
Well, we voted this out back in March. TSI was the lowest vendor and offered a more enhanced price.
right,
And the IT manager recommended an integrated system. We are getting all of our additional vehicles would be under this system. Same radio system, able to communicate better. That's the recommendation at that time. Technology changes, gets more advanced, and when the opportunity presents itself for a more enhanced camera system, it is a possibility that we will be going back out to bid to procure the more enhanced product.
and how long, what's the expiration on this particular contract?
The warranty is 2 years, and the equipment has a useful life of 5 years.
So the contract would last based on the warranty?
Well, we own it. We have an opportunity to buy more under this contract. But right now, we are only purchasing what's before you now.
Right.
And why did we decide to buy instead of purchase, to buy instead of lease?
The cameras,
Yes.
the recommendation from the IT person, I would assume it's more cost effective. We own it, we have the server to support it, and that was the recommendation that came to purchase versus lease.
But the idea of, I'm sorry.
You go ahead first.
No, I was just thinking, when I hear that, and I hear the idea of technology rapidly changing, and then the possibility of going out again. Again, I'm not clear on how long this contract lasts. I know we got the warranty, I understand all of that. The contract itself, IT.
It's really not a contract for a specified period of time. It was a contract, it was a quote to procure X number of radios. We are bringing it back, same vendor, better price, better equipment, to support an integrated system.
And how many cameras is that currently is on this contract?
We did 10 initially. We have 5 now, and we have additional vehicles to purchase. Yes,
And these are front and back cameras?
yes,
They're the dash cams and they watch the passengers?
yes.
And are there any on the outside of the bus to show you getting them in and out?
It's a camera system, so I would assume it covers the inside and the exterior of the vehicle to capture the passengers loading and unloading as well.
Okay.
These are the purchases, not leases.
Correct.
Right. Well, in the future, please, I'd like to at least have some sort of a summary explaining the choice between purchasing versus leasing, because usually with technology, it's more efficient to lease the item. It's easier to upgrade a leased item. It's under full warranty when it's a leased item. So purchasing it, you know, it's like purchasing a car. There's no value in purchasing a car. You know, once you drive it off the lot, you lose almost 40% of its value.
Director Odell, I think
And you know, I'm telling the truth.
Director Odell, I think that's a good point, that in the future, we'll make sure to offer that comparison of purchase and lease in those items so that you can thoughtfully consider that, and we can too. So thank you for that.
On these cameras, we're actually approving the purchase 6 cameras.
I thought you said 10.
No, we purchased 10 previously. Today, we are asking for
6 more.
But it's not a camera.
just a camera system.
That's correct.
So it's fast.
More cameras.
Lots of cameras. 6 cameras. More.
Well, I guess it goes back to my, so on this contract, what's the total amount of camera anticipate purchasing from the contract?
We have, I believe, 4 more paratransit vehicles to purchase. There will be additional purchases. Mr. Massimo, do we have them all for Smart Grant? Any additional?
We have 3 more vehicles that'll be coming in for certain for Smart Grant through the Georgia Transit Trust Fund funding, and then potentially 1 other, so a total of 6.
So it's like 15,000 for the 6 systems.
2009, 7,
One. For 4 vehicles, the total cost is $39,336.
39.
Yes.
That says 19.
And on the 2, for the Smart Grant program, it is,
It's the 19,000.
9,884 each, totaling $19,768.
So show me where we got to the 39,000.
That's on the 3 vehicles.
That's on the 3 vehicles that we currently have.
I'm sorry, 4 vehicles. Remember, we're purchasing cameras for 4 CAT Connect vehicles, which is the senior circulator, and then we're 2 for the Smart Grant. They're separate.
So the 19 is times 2.
It's times 2 on the Smart Grant and times whatever it was on the CAT Connect vehicles. I don't know if you outfitted them exactly the same, Dr. Manny and Ms. Cutter.
So every vehicle, this are the little thing, we have 2 vehicles inside and 1 at the back and 2 on the side.
Yeah, we should.
The same system setup.
That wasn't as clear as you think it is. Because when I looked at the spreadsheet, I saw the 19 with the 9, with the almost 10 for the additional optional services. I didn't see where we had agreed to get the optional services. I just thought that was on there. So, but we are getting the optional services, and we're getting the optional services for all 4 vehicles. So, somewhere we should have
Bev, can you scroll all the way up?
39.
Scroll up a little bit more. There's the 19,768 for the smart.
Right, but I thought that that was the cost. It wasn't clear that it's times 4.
On this one, it's, and
That's two.
that is the cost
I'm
on this
above.
one. That is the cost for 2. 19,768, that's for 2.
And so you're getting the optional wireless.
We are, just as is described there. And Bev, could you also bring up the one for the 4 as well, so that we can see those together? Same sort of analysis for the 4. Might not show up in the, there we go, keep
So
going.
it's not 39. That first one, the smart grant is 19.
Yes, ma'am. And it's for 2. Bev, can you keep scrolling up, please, till we get to that same representation of the cost? There we go. You'll keep going up. Okay, and
So
see,
what's
that
the
one's the,
difference in
that one's the
camera system?
39,336.
Right, so that's a $20,000 difference. What's the difference in this camera versus the other?
There's more of these.
versus 2.
It's 4.
There's 4 of these versus 2 of the other.
Okay, so that's 19 times 4?
No, it's 19 times 2, because the 19 was for 2. This is for 4, so it's the 9,000 number, wherever it is up there. I can't, I'm
Okay,
trying to see from here, times 4 for this one and times 2 for the other. The unit cost is the 9,000 number.
so it is times 4
For this one it is, but times 2 for the smart
for
grant.
the other one.
Mhm.
And Director Odell, the reasoning for it being on 2 separate action items is it's 2 different funding sources.
Absolutely.
And
And
2 different
they're
vehicles,
funded,
different vehicles.
at 100%. What electric versus gasoline.
That's why I said,
I think you should keep them separate, categorize the cost.
Yes.
So the board is coming out of, where's the money for the 4 coming from?
Georgia Transit Trust Fund, that was last year, right, Ms. Cutter? So last year, remember, we were awarded, and those were 100% funds too, Georgia Transit Trust Fund funding, and we used that, remember, to restore what we used to call the senior circulator, what we're now referring to, at least temporarily, as CAT Connects. And then this one also happened to be 100% funding, Smart Grant was funding too. Yes, ma'am.
Have any more questions? All right, we're gonna take a vote on the camera systems for the 2 smart grant program vehicles. Beverly,
Yes, sir. We have a motion.
Second.
all right, thank you. Beverly,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion by Director Emister and seconded by Director Stone and Director Lockett. I'll do a roll call vote.
yes.
Director Emister,
Yeah.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson, Director Leggett, Director Leggett,
Yes.
thank you. Director Taylor
Yes.
and Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for the approval of the camera systems for the smart grant vehicle program.
All right. We still need to get approval for the camera systems for the 4 CAT Connect vehicles. Want to get a, do we have any discussion on that?
Move to approve.
Second.
Beverly?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Emister,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson, Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
and Chairman Cody.
Yes,
Chairman, motion passed
thank you.
for the approval of the camera systems for the, 4 camera systems for the CAT Connect program.
All right. Next, we'd like to go to the zero fare for Election Day. Do we have any discussion on that?
I just have a question.
Yes.
If there's a zoned area that you can get picked up from and taken, it's not to all voting folks.
Dr. Manny and
So, yeah. It'll be an area, or Since I'm gonna be here anyways.
Yeah, that's a zero fare. Is it the one for the student?
Election day.
This is for election day, Dr.
Oh, yeah, election day, yeah. So every year on election day, we give that free service. And so anybody riding our transit system, there's a code that the driver is going to punch on the fare box to let us count how many people rode the bus. And that's just only 1 day service for all
So it's for all buses?
for all buses.
And how do you know they're going to vote?
Well, we just
You
assume.
just take everybody's word?
Yeah,
Or
so-
you go to registration
No,
card?
no, they don't. They
It's gonna be free fare.
In
For-
the
for
past, it's just for everybody.
for
Just to
everybody.
Make it easier for anybody and everybody that might be
Okay,
trying to get to
so
the polls that
on
day.
this day,
It's
nobody's paying.
yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. And we have a code that the drivers enter on the fare box, so to keep the data to see that ridership for that very day.
And we had the we pulled up from the last 2 times that this has been granted by the board and looked at how many people we were carrying to and from the polls, and we have those numbers we can provide to the board if we'd like. But that's how we calculated, and we calculated the daily ridership.
Yeah,
to
daily
calculate
ridership.
what that
We
fee
compared
is
that
that
very
we're
day.
So are we stopping in front of polling areas? Or are we stopping at our regular stop?
No, it's just a regular system like every day else, assuming that everybody's going out to vote. So this is how it's set up.
Then how are you calculating who went to a polling area?
We're not necessarily calculating who went to a polling area, although what Dr. Manny is suggesting is that this year, I know past years, we've just estimated what the ridership was on those days, and whether there was a change in ridership on those days from others. But what he's suggesting that we do this time is that there would be some counting, if you will, to ask people, are you gonna go vote? And
I
are
think
you
we need to
just
know
gonna
that. I mean, in other words, if we're granting a fare-free day and we're saying it's for voting.
It's to enable people that, to make sure
I
everybody.
understand, but we're not measuring it in any way, shape, or form.
We haven't in the
We're not
past.
I understand that, but I think going forward, if we're going to allow a fare-free day, we need to let people know what it's for, and if we're saying it's for voting and we have no way to measure it, then that's not very.
Because one of the things we talked about when Curtis was here
Yeah.
was having him stop. Like if you're on Route A and the polling place is on Route A, you added an extra stop and you stopped in front of the polling place.
Or we could come out with a good measure if you show your voter ID on that very day. Yes, that would be,
I mean, it would be great
instead
to know
of free ride
how many
for
people are going
the
to
general
polling
public,
place.
Right, so we can justify to the public.
Yeah.
That it is in fact for people that are going to vote. Now, I'm not gonna say that you can tell somebody that wants to get on the bus and they're not going to vote, you can't get on the bus. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
I'm saying, how do we measure what this is actually for?
Oh, yeah.
And if we stop in front of a polling place and people get out, that's the real easy.
That's the real measure.
That's the really easy way to measure.
I think that that's something we
Yeah.
can work on
We
pretty
cannot-
quickly, is to modify some of our routes to ensure that we're doing, making that connection that clearly and that easily.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of what we're trying to do anyway.
Because most polling places are on the street, like you just walk off the street and get to the bank.
That's what we'll do.
Yeah,
Dr.
we'll-
Manny and the operations team will start to work on looking at how we can make those modifications, and then we'll report that out to you later today.
Part of people's property taxes include charter and transit tax. We need to be able to tell them why we're giving a free day.
Absolutely.
And I just want to inject too that, I don't even know any other way to say, but to have this given to us at a board meeting and not vetted through the committee kind of creates this disadvantage. So I would just like to see these kind of things get to us in a little bit more timely manner.
Yeah.
So that we can vet it through committee, we have these, because the board, we have expertise too, that we can lend to you to make this beneficial for the community at large.
It makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Have any more questions?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I also see this as a positive thing as far as the image of cats. But we need to put it out there, let them know. To encourage, get out the vote.
Yes, sir.
And
I
it's
agree.
as good as we advertise it.
Yeah.
You know, we can talk about it here, but the public needs to know.
I said advertising.
Yeah, so.
It might be, sorry if you had your hand up, to make sure that we get this to Billy Wooten, I think is his name, is the director of, am I right? Elections here in Chatham County.
Okay,
And make sure, because they're always putting information like this out there. And if
Very
it's
good.
approved and we're, and we've got it approved, they've got their little like one sheet of how to vote. And it'd be helpful to have this on that one sheet because that does see a lot of eyeballs.
comms team is taking a note. We'll get that done. Thank you. These are all great comments and I appreciate it.
I just want to know, how are we promoting this?
Yes, so we will be promoting this on our local media, local newspapers. I'm going to reach out to the director of the voting precincts and try to reach to as much as possible during this time frame. Whether we drop off flyers, text alerts, we have many different ways to promote this.
You take it to the county and city, they're on
Yeah.
the government
Yeah.
channel.
Churches is a great suggestion also. And the public access channels too, for sure. Okay.
Thank you. All right, do we want to get a person to go into a vote on this?
I move to approve Cat to the Polls Zero Fair Day.
Election day.
On
Do I have a second?
Second.
Beverly?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion made by Director Emerson and seconded by Director Leggett. I'll do a roll call vote. Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Dell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
and Chairman Rhodes.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed. 2-0 fair service for election.
Thank you, ma'am.
Chairman, can I just make one other suggestion? Can you kind of update us on how the word is getting out? Would you please? Just
Absolutely.
kind of update.
Good. All right. On our contract service for the 3B expansion services with Port Wentworth, we got a recommendation from staff. We're gonna put this on the table for November's meeting. You have any questions?
We want to be sure that we permit for more conversation around the portion of the route, a very small portion of the route, but the portion of the route that is within the transit tax district, because there's a portion of that cost that was represented in the agenda item that is coming from the transit tax district, but the great bulk of the cost is coming from Port Wentworth, and they,
Talk about the millage.
yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So 52,500 roughly was coming from the transit tax district, and we did an evaluation. We coordinated with the county manager also, but we did an evaluation literally by parcel and so forth to calculate that. We've had to do that in effect with Garden City in terms of their recent expansion as well. This evaluation that we've done avoids the problem that occurred in Garden City with the potential of general fund donation or general fund contribution plus transit tax district and that concern about double taxation. We made sure to avoid that with the approach here by looking at that route, that 3B extension route very carefully and making sure that we estimated that. So 400,000 on the operating side would come from Port Wentworth, and 200,000 on the, which is what we estimated the full cost would be of those stops that and shelters that would be put in. And then additionally, as was contained in I think it was section 3 of the agreement, this would be revisited on an annual basis. Every February, we would submit a budget back to Port Wentworth that would tell them what their upcoming cost would be for the July 1 fiscal year.
I looked at that clause. That clause is kind of wishy-washy. It doesn't exactly say that their fee can be increased. It says that we're gonna look at it.
Okay,
And that we'll discuss the budget,
right.
but it doesn't say that the fee can be increased, that there are unseen costs coming up. So I think that clause needs.
You want it to be clearer.
It needs to be way clearer. in more detail. And I didn't see where, if there's any confusion or debate, you know, what's the process for working it out with them? Is it gonna be mediation? Is it gonna be?
We both have an out clause in the contract with Ample. They noticed that was included in there too. Ty, I know that you're on with us and you and Andrew drafted this agreement. I hope you're hearing some of the feedback that we're getting around maybe strengthening the language or clarifying the language a little bit more in section 3.
I am, rather than trying to go back and redo the contract, I would suggest a side agreement or an addendum that's just attached to it that clarifies that, rather than trying to start all over again.
Got it, sir. I think especially, I know Port Wentworth has already seen it once, but I think a side agreement, you're right, is a really good approach to making sure that these clarifications take place.
And I'd like in general for our contracts to be more aggressive,
Okay.
more detailed. I look at contracts as being prenup agreements, so that you get everything out there that you want, what the problem's gonna be when you have a problem, how you gonna work the problem out. It's so much better when everything is in the agreement and you don't have to talk about it or think about it. You know exactly what your process is gonna be.
Got it.
You know exactly how you're gonna go forward.
Right.
You know, I'd like to put, you know, the fee attachments on there, showing what the fees are, how we may escalate, how that calculation might go through.
Hey, would you go back for me?
Yes,
'Cause
ma'am.
I didn't quite get it. You mentioned about 400,000, 200,000. I saw in the contract where, one will pay 200,000 for the amenities, right?
They'll pay for the stops and shelters,
Right.
so the capital side, and on the operating side, they're contributing 400,000 towards the 452.5, and the remaining 52.5 is not coming from CAP proper, it's coming from the millage that's levied in the transit tax district. There's a little portion of this extension 3B route
Right.
that is not actually in Port Wentworth, but passes through that industrial, I can't remember the exact name of the area.
International Boulevard.
Exactly, thank you very
I-
much.
I was really just looking for exactly 400,000, 200,000.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
So 400,000 is operating, 200,000 capital, and then the remaining operating is coming out of the transit tax district
And that
proceeds.
remaining operating will be 210,000 over the course of the contract.
I beg your pardon?
Over the course of the contract, that millage rate is 210,000. That 52.
Oh, the 52.5, yes, ma'am.
And how many stops are there going to be?
13. 13 on this route. And there are, I think, 12 of them. Jim, can you remind me, how many of them are actually in Port Wentworth proper? Do we have one that's in that area that's like the not Port Wentworth little piece of the route?
Yes, ma'am. We have one that's in the International Trade Boulevard area.
And then the remainder are in that other area.
It's not a large municipality, so it's just curious.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, that international trade Wayfair, is that's that cluster of warehouses?
Yes, ma'am.
that's the one
That's true. We just noted that Wayfair was there because Wayfair has also been in conversations with us about helping to provide service similar to the conversations with Amazon, Hyundai, and so forth.
Now, are we gonna stop at multiple times on that route?
Jim,
Because those warehouses are significantly apart, so just one stop would put somebody at risk of not getting to work.
Got it.
Trying to work, having to walk that distance.
Jim, you want to walk through those bus stops?
We went through the international trade area with the bus operation staff, took a bus out and actually drove it, and ultimately decided that the best place for the stop that would give access best for everybody is right there by the traffic circle at the entrance. It does mean that you have to walk a block or two to get to your work site, but we don't circulate past every door. But that was the stop location, what your operations staff decided was the best there.
And we also assess that against what is sort of standard walkability from transit stops to destinations and made sure that we fell within what is industry standard.
Well, what was the walkability? Last time I went out there, those warehouses were a significant different, distance from each other.
Jim, you want to talk a little bit more
Well,
about
the
that?
International Trade Center, that particular little office park, I think is quite walkable for most of the locations. It's where you get over off of Jimmy DeLoach Boulevard that the distribution centers are really difficult to get to. And that is exactly why we're going with a microtransit service in the Jimmy DeLoach area, because of how hard those are. The ones there in the International Trade Park, I think are reasonably walkable from that one-stop location.
Jim, since you mentioned,
You're saying walkable, but I want to understand what walkable means. Does walkable mean a fourth of a mile? Because we live in Savannah, Georgia, and this is, on the other side of hell in the summertime. There won't be any shelter for those people to be walking. And the last time I was out there, and I'll drive back out there, those warehouses were a good stop away. It's not like it's 60 steps and you're gonna be near your door.
so Director Odell, let me add one thing to that before Jim jumps back in. As Jim mentioned, when the Port Wentworth service is anticipated, this fixed route extension is anticipated to go live in March. That's the same time that we're going to be bringing the microtransit online. And remember, we've got 2 districts in West Chatham that are devoted to West Chatham that covers one of them covers this area, the other covers another West Chatham area with that has different service needs as well. So the microtransit is going to help address exactly what you're describing about making it easier access within that zone. So that,
I'm not talking about
yes, ma'am.
door-to-door service.
No, I know.
But if you got to stretch a mile, that's 5 miles, you can stop more than one time on that
Right.
5-mile stretch.
Right. Well, I think but the microtransit, keep in mind, we don't just have one tool in our toolkit. So the service expansion that we're proposing here, plus the microtransit layered in, provides a sort of network of connectivity that doesn't exist there at all right now.
So let me make sure I understand, the microtransit and the fixed route, whatever that unwalkable distance is, microtransit will be there to get these folks when they get off of the fixed route to their destination. Is that what I'm hearing?
There's a microtransit zone that serves that area, and someone who is trying to make that trip should have the opportunity to either connect from the fixed route or connect to the fixed route, depending on where they're going to, using the microtransit, going from a point A to point B or from a point A to the fixed route to make that. So yes.
So is that going to be scheduled in a way that folk will get to work on time?
Well, remember, microtransit is on demand.
Right, but what I'm saying, we're talking about distance to get from point A to point B.
Yes.
I'm more concerned, I think we're more concerned about this bus route.
Got it.
How long that strip is and how many times they're gonna stop on that strip.
Got it.
So that people have, because I don't really understand this walkability. I wanna know what walkability means. Is that 60 steps? Is that 85 steps? What defines walkability? Because in New York, walkability could be 14 blocks.
I feel like the larger challenge here is that, and this has been happening in a lot of places, is what we're looking at is a major land use challenge that was designed with no consideration for walkability or transit at all. These are enormous buildings, and they were placed out there, again, with no consideration for transit or efficiency between walking between the two at all. I think, and what we're left doing as an agency is trying to do some incredible gymnastics to try to figure out a way to make it affordable for us. And it simply, very likely, will never be affordable with the way that these warehouses are laid out. I think long-term, the answer has got to be us having a much more aggressive land use position. I think what we've done with being able to be in on meetings with the MPC at the forefront. So Because I think you're right. Maybe if there was if the entrance was on the other side of the warehouse, that could really help us out.
Yeah.
But nobody was there to be advocating for that.
Right.
So, I mean,
And
Director Odell, I couldn't agree more. I'm not sure what the answer is.
If the street is 5 miles, how long is the street? If the street is 5 miles, we should be able to stop more than once. So that the people on this end, the people in the middle, and the people on that end can be a little bit closer to where their walkability.
The- Director Odell, the part of the challenge ends up being where we can actually physically turn the bus around. And in this community, it's pretty challenging. The best place after we went out there with the bus operations staff to turn around safely is at the traffic circle, which is just about an eighth of a mile or so into the complex. We generally consider walkability to be a third to a half of a mile. And we want to make sure it's on a street that is reasonably safe to do it. Ideally, would have sidewalks, or at least it has to be a street that seems reasonably without traffic. You know, out on 21, it's really walkability is pretty hard on Augusta Road because of how fast the traffic is moving. But here in this industrial park, I honestly think the majority of it will be reasonably well served by this one stop at the traffic circle.
Did we speak to the developer to see if we could pull into the parking lot and turn around in the parking lot?
We looked at actually going through the Wayfair, and we took the bus out and drove through the Wayfair area to actually try the turnaround through there, and through a combination of the speed bumps that are in the area, plus kind of the turns, operations staff just felt it was better to limit the turnaround to the traffic circle at the front.
I think, can we get another, have staff take another look and come back with some other recommendations?
Isn't that the facility that they built that back access road
There's one.
on? Didn't they build that back access road, that straight route off of the highway? Cause I remember the developer paid for it. Is this the development?
We have someone here that drove that route.
I think Enoch and there were some other folks,
Yeah.
the operations staff drove the route.
Yes.
Enoch was out there.
And Mr. Dumas and Mr. Dorsey were Mr. Dorsey was the driver for us, and Mr. Dumas rode with us, and some of the marketing and communication staff.
But is this the development that has the access road? Can we find out if that's the one? Because if this is the one with the access road, it's a paved road and it's straight with nothing, it's a straight road with trucks on it.
I think what would be really helpful, I think this is really good conversation for us. So if we can just continue, I think it's clear that we need to do some more to respond to all of that. So if we can hear what your continued comments and concerns are that we need to take down and go back and coordinate further with Port Wentworth, as well as coordinate further internally. And I think probably bring in some of our operators in addition to operations staff to look at some of this. I think that would be a good add. So let's do.
Let us know.
Because my concern is putting people out in the hot sun, having them walk half a mile.
And what you didn't hear that Director Taylor was asking, you have large tractor trailers turning around.
How do they turn around?
They use the access road.
Right.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is a tractor trailer is bigger than our bus, so the tractor trailer can back into the warehouse. What kind of room does he have to back into the warehouse? He has to have the room. In order to turn it around, he can't go in.
If this is the development I'm thinking about, there's a huge area in the back that they set up specifically for that, and a cutoff from the highway
And
so that
that's
they
what,
could drive that access.
and that's what I'm saying, the buses could use this to turn around.
So,
Saying that can use that same area to turn around.
well,
We're
what,
trying to reinvent something that's already been put in place for tractor trailers that we can use, because the tractor trailer is a little longer.
well,
than
I
the
think
bus.
when we're on,
Tractor trailer can maneuver and back into that warehouse. He has to have the room. That means that bus can go and do the same thing in that yard.
just remember, one of the things we have to think about is when we go on private property, there's a whole different set of understandings that we have to put in place. So it may not be as easy, but I think your points, absolutely, I think your,
the access road was a right of way given.
got it. I think your points are very well made. We've been taking notes. Unless there's something else, what we're going to do, we've already tabled this for the next meeting, and we will plan to come back with you to include responses. And in the meantime, what I'd like to do too is to be sending you things in the meantime, so that it's not all coming right before the next meeting that you're trying to look through what is really a complex issue. So,
I would like to suggest that on each committee, this be a part of their agenda.
okay.
And you can vet it through the committee with different suggestions. And so at committee meetings, I think every committee should have this as an item of discussion on their agenda.
Very good.
Because I actually took the tour, and unfortunately, we did it in a regular vehicle. But we would like to get together and maybe take a field trip.
Take a ride out there and see.
To see.
Yeah. Did that,
Well,
just did it out there,
we will,
We'll do that.
we'll table
That would be
that.
pretty cool to all take the bus out. I'm just saying if there was capacity for that.
I'm a drive.
Oh, no.
I'll pay $1.50 happily.
Might increase the fare.
We will also get Mr. Ritchie here on site for that. We'll figure out and get the board, make it at a time when board members within your schedules can attend. And like I said, we've already taken down some of the questions and comments that you've got, and we'll coordinate. We'll also take Port Wentworth out there with us. And
That'd be great.
again, one of our operators, not just our operations staff, to make this drive through. So thank you for all the comments. This is no doubt going to result in a better November agenda item, and we appreciate it.
Right. And this time we want to get a motion and a second to table this for November's meeting. Beverly, give me the room.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Director Emerson?
Yes.
Director Odell?
Yes.
Director Stone? Yes. Director Lockett?
Yes.
Director Adams?
Yes.
Director Robinson?
Yes.
Director Leggett?
Yes.
Director Taylor?
Yes.
And Chairman Coler?
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed to table, contract services, to Fort Wentworth Services Edge.
Thank you. And we're gonna go to number 9 for contract services.
Mr. Chair, I just had I ran into Mr. Brandon, who I think is the other side of this contract, if I could say that, over at the city. And as you know, I'm a big fan of the dot shuttle.
We're doing I think we're doing.
Are we on 9?
We're
I
doing
think
the
we're on dot
Oh,
shuttle.
okay, I'm sorry.
No
I'm
worries,
sorry.
no worries. As you know, I'm a big fan of the dot shuttle. I think it's a terrific example of what transit can do when it does well. I also know that a lot of people in the service industry that work downtown use this for transportation to and from work. And it helps get them to work. It also relieves downtown of where service industry workers would be parking. They're now taking transit to get down there. It is our, I'm pretty sure it is one of our top ridden routes. And so all I want to say is to, send a message out there to Sean Brandon, that right now the dot shuttle ends at 7 p.m. I think it starts at 7. Am I right? Starts at 7 and it goes till 7.
Goes 7 to 7, that's
7
correct.
to 7.
And then Saturday, 10 to 7.
Saturday 10 to 7.
Sunday,
and I
10
know
to
from
6.
talking to a bunch of people who work in the service industry again, it would be helpful for them to have it end when the rest of our service ends at 10 p.m. So it matches the rest of our fixed route service I also know that we're really challenged with having enough operators to do so. And so I understand that, but I think as our lack of operators continues to improve, which I'm really excited to hear that we continue to hire more people. As our team expands, I'd love to see that match the schedule of our fixed route so that the DOT shuttle would end service at 10.
Director Edmonds,
Extend the hours by 3 hours.
Yes, eventually. And I think it's in the contract for the city for us to be able to revisit that.
that's correct.
I just want to make sure that we're not, if we go on a hiring spree and we get everybody we need to, I just want to make sure that us nor the city are locked in to just having the DOT shuttle end at 7 p.m. Yeah, because I think if it could run till 10, that would greatly improve people getting to work.
Of course, the funding support for those additional
Would be
hours
matched
is
by the
something
city.
we would have to address. And then
100%.
the other part is that absolutely aligns with, I know that the board recalls from the master transit plan that both frequency of service on fixed routes and expansion of some of our hours of service is something that is included in the master transit plan as we continue to seek out areas too that we haven't been serving as robustly. So.
Yes.
Well, I just have a quick question about extending hours, and I may be totally wrong, but would that, I would like to know if it's used as much in the winter when it gets dark at 6. I mean, certainly in the summer, I can see that more, but I don't want us, one thing I don't want us doing is running shuttles in the dark if people are not using them.
Right.
That's just.
One way to answer that, and this would be kind of interesting, is there a way to look at the hourly ridership of the DOT shuttle, specifically 7F?
We
There's
do.
a lot of people that ride that shuttle, so you would be able to get a pretty high resolution.
We do
Yeah,
have.
I would just be curious because,
Same.
again, I want to be conservative on our part, but I want to make sure that people have the service that they need. So I don't want to run, a shuttle in, 10 o'clock on a winter night if nobody's using it.
Maybe we just run it seasonal till 10.
We have the hourly ridership, and so we'll pull that data and get it to you. And the other thing to remember is when we did our onboard survey as a part of our operation analysis and transit development plan work, 56% of the folks that are using the DOT shuttle are using it to get to work and or shopping trips. And the remaining is the visitors and tourism that people typically think of it associated with it, but it actually has a local ridership that is quite strong.
That percentage
I
up,
just would like to look at it. That's all.
is that percentage up because of the expansion into historic College Village and Cloverdale area, or is it always that way? Have we seen any changes as a result of that?
We haven't done another onboard survey since we did that expansion. That, if I'm recalling correctly, Dr. Robinson, when we did that onboard survey, I think it was February of last year. So that means that the expansion into those two neighborhoods had not really been fully accounted for yet. So I think that your point is well made. It's a good time. It'd be a good time to do another one of those onboard surveys and kind of calculate and see what kind of shift and movement have we seen.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I think if we are not aware of that, the city of Savannah will be doing a reassessment of the nighttime management in November. I think that we need to have somebody from this agency at the table to talk about transit as it relates to downtown and bringing people back and forth when we talk about the 7F, especially the 7F. So I think in November, we need to have somebody that's speaking with Sean Brandon and with Jay Melder as we talk about nightlife management.
You talking about staff, or you talking about your other rep?
Everybody, as many voices as possible, because now
Maybe
we're
both,
talking
maybe
about
the staff and
extending hours. And if people really don't know, and we're going to be out, and I wish that we can have some people from CAT to come with us. We're going to be out in the next couple of weeks, assessing what's going on downtown and how we're going to get people in and out from downtown and how ridership is actually being utilized.
Director Lee, that was an excellent point. And just so you know too, we have a regular meeting with the city staff, with Sean and that staff, and they have asked us to participate in helping to understand that nighttime dynamic and the nighttime activities and how CAT is a part of serving that. So we are going to be represented in that effort. But I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, since I actually represent the downtown area
Mhm.
as an alderman, so I want to make sure that, you know, we do have a part of that conversation, being that the majority of our ridership come and utilize the downtown corridor.
That's correct.
I move to approve the contract services with the city for dot circulator service.
Second.
Evelyn?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Chairman Coler.
Yes,
Chairman, motion passed.
thank you. Next, we have Thomas and Hutton contract extension for on-call engineering services. We had that pull.
Director Odell wanted to discuss.
Oh,
Had some
Oh,
questions.
damn, that was bad timing.
I would want, with the on-call services, I need help with this. I think the on-call service has to do with unfinished capital projects, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
They were doing something for us, we didn't finish it. So we're asking to extend it so they can finish up.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's no financial
No, ma'am.
impact to CAT.
It's a what's called a no-cost time extension.
Right, I just wanted that out there.
Yes, ma'am. And there's remaining budget in that contract to cover those last tasks that are needed. And you'll recall the reason that there was a delay in that effort was because those were those two grants, the dock and the ferry maintenance facility grants, that we were having some issues in advancing them, progressing them actively. And so there was some recovery time that had to be built into some of the grant requirements. So that engineering and design work that they would have been responsible for had to be stopped until some of the grant effort, sort of the regulatory piece and so forth, caught up with it. So that's what resulted in that gap that's causing the no-cost time extension need.
And how many extensions have they made?
None, to my knowledge. Yes, ma'am.
It's no cost.
Yes, ma'am.
And the timing, this extension for the planning part of the dock and the maintenance facility, how's that going to play into this? Or as a staff, are we looking at, this is how long it's going to take, we anticipate, this is how long it's going to take, and we should be able to do it?
Yes, ma'am. The dock, for example, is actually, the dock, and this one is particular to the ferry maintenance facility, but the dock, we have actually already caught up, and the dock is out to bid right now. That bid is due on November 1 for a design build. We anticipate the support for that project to be about 4 to 6 months after bid is awarded. There's a particular environmental permit associated with it that requires us to have to operate within a certain time frame in order to not impact aquatic species.
Wow.
So we've got to hit the May-June time window in terms of pilings and so forth with the dock. So the dock is actually in good shape right now. The ferry maintenance facility had a pretty significant, again, that grant delay that occurred, we had a pretty significant amount of design work in that facility over there that was still outstanding, and that's where the focus of this no-cost time extension will be. As soon as that gets done, that project will also be able to proceed to bid.
And once these two projects are done, does the engineering firm have to come back and do anything else, or double check, or?
Typically not, because they'll be the engineer of record, Dr. Robinson, and so they will have stamped the plans. So like inspections, engineering inspections and those kinds of things will have to be done by an independent. That's why we have other on-calls, so that there can be independence of review and so forth and inspection over the course of the completion of the project. Very good question, though. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions, comments?
So we need a motion.
Yes.
for-
Yes.
So-
All right. Beverly. We need a minute. So Beverly, we gonna get a roll call vote.
Can you repeat exactly what we're voting
extension through February of 2024.
The one that was removed, number 11.
Yeah.
A motion for approval.
I say.
Thank you. Seconded by Director Lockett. And Chairman, I'll do a roll call vote.
Yes, ma'am.
Director Emerson,
I'll read them.
Yes.
Director Odell, not present for the vote. Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
and Chairman Coe.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for the approval of the Thomas Hutton contract extension on cost engineering services.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to our executive director's report and our unit updates. Turn the floor over to our CEO, Mr. Massimo.
Thank you so much, Chairman. I'm going to devote, besides there will be obviously the regular comms report today, but in addition to that, I wanted to devote my report to you today to safety and security. And this was something actually that during committees, Dr. Robinson had asked if or I think maybe even preceding that in an email exchange, Dr. Robinson had asked if I would devote an update today to some of the recent occurrences that we've had with regard to incidents in and around the transit system. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we have done overall, both in terms of the equipment and operation side, but also in terms of the kind of mental health awareness services that we're bringing to our employees that might experience particularly stressful events in the workplace. So the first thing what I thought was one of the most important things after the recent incident that occurred was a reassessment of our security personnel and their ability to communicate quickly in a security response situation. So we have added additional radio equipment that gives them a more immediate and direct line of communication when responding to an incident and being notified of a need, as well as adding a mobile security post that increases our response range. So we have dedicated a vehicle now to the security supervisor, whoever's on that shift serving in that role, to be able to deploy quickly to an incident versus having to try to find another, have the most direct possible way to get there. It's just a car, and then the radio equipment. But the radio equipment that we put in place is really the game changer, I think, for because previous to this, they were communicating back and forth through cell phone communications and having to go through dispatch and all that. We wanted to streamline and make it quick and direct so that when operators have issues, they're able to notify us, we're able to get the help there that they need in the quickest manner. We've also partnered really effectively with Savannah PD, as well as with the Chatham Savannah Homeless Authority, because a lot of these issues and so forth that we see are around mental health issues, and they oftentimes grow out of a homeless condition of some of the individuals that we are either serving or that just are taking refuge in and around our facilities.
This equipment is like a walkie-talkie, you said immediate.
It's the same kind of radio equipment now that our maintenance personnel have to be able to communicate on the yard, so they can communicate like right there. In addition to that, we started and I hope that Ariel will comment a little bit on this during the comms report. We also see something, say something, which is a pretty traditional kind of approach, but we are really pushing that messaging out there that if you see something going on at a stop or around one of our shelters, if you're on the bus and something's happening while it's in operation that the operator might not be able to see immediately, please get notification to us. If you see something, say something. If somebody's, acting a little different, be sure, err on the side of caution and let us know what's going on so that we can get immediate response around these things. So we also are looking at one of the things that we don't have yet but is planned is if you go on the ITC platform, and I know all of you have been there actually are broadcast speakers out there, but apparently the machinery or the stuff behind it that makes it work has been dormant for a bit. So we are re-energizing that, figuring out what kind of equipment has to go behind that so that we can start regular broadcast messages on the platform that are part of not only the see something, say something, but similar to what you see in other transportation venues where we welcome you to cat ridership. We appreciate you being there and riding with us that day. And oh, by the way, your safety is our first priority, both for our operators and our passengers. And so if you see something, say something, but that kind of broadcast, and we remind people that we have cameras in operation in that facility. So not a good idea to be, getting into mischief. And then continuing to work with our community partners to show coordination. And one of not only law enforcement, but one of the things that I think I'm proudest of is, so I think we mentioned to you, we've had 4 incidents this year where there was an indecent exposure incident. And they were on different routes, different times of day, different days of the week. Everything about them was different except for 2 of them occurred with the same operator. And she has really experienced that, and just I think some other matters. She has really experienced some mental health concerns around that. So we have reached out in the strong partnership that we have with Chatham County to the Chatham County Safety Net Planning Council, and they are also, in addition to the services that are available through EAP and through private providers and so forth, they are also providing services to help and be ready to help our operators and so forth when things occur. We have coordinated closely with the union in terms of notifications. As soon as we were doing things and as soon as we learned of things, we were making sure that they had the information we had when we had it, and knew what our response was and what was going on, and sought for them to share information with us that we might need to know in terms of that response. So I wanted you to be aware of the prominence of the safety initiative, the deep commitment to the safety initiative, again, both for our passengers and our operators. And we will keep you updated as we bring more either technology or partnerships or operational improvements online that help to continue to strengthen that. Ariel, I'll turn it over to you for the communications portion of our report.
Good morning, Chairman Cody, Board of Directors, Mr. Massimo, union representatives, and our colleagues here today. This is the Marketing Communications Department overview for September. Our CAT tracker continues to grow with downloads. As you see, in 1 year, last September to September 2022 to September 2023, we have a total of more than 20,000 downloads in 1 year, which is a huge feat for us. In Apple, more than 1,500 new users downloaded the CAT tracker. In Google Play, more than 147 new users downloaded the CAT tracker. Right now, we have in last board report, I broke down the difference between the install base and the monthly active users. And I want to keep that in your mind as we discuss how many monthly active users for Google and Apple. So the monthly active users for Google is more than 2,000, but with Apple iOS devices is more than 960 monthly users. With our service alerts, we saw a 5% increase in September compared to August, with more than 1,600 subscribers to our RideCat alert system. I did want to share with you guys that we have started a new alert system. So we went from text marks to alert media in starting October 1st. This platform allows CAT to send voice notes, receive messages from riders, and have unlimited amounts of categories or create pre-made templates. So as you see, we have on the top picture, you see our actual service alerts, and the red dots is how many replies or responses we've received from riders. We also see right here, you see, okay, that's actual messages from riders to us about the service alert. And it also gives us a better breakdown of how many completed messages we have, how many failed, how many opted out. It just gives us a better overview of our service alerts to be able to give to you guys as well.
You might also want to mention we did this at a cost savings over the previous service, correct?
Correct. So with text marks, we were spending, it was a different amount of money, but we did save a lot with Alert Media.
I just sent you a message
You sent me a
on,
message?
because
Oh.
I'm signed up, so
Okay.
I'm interested to see if you get this. I said, this is
Okay.
Clinton, and then I sent you a picture of you.
Oh,
So
well, thank you.
that should be
Sometimes
weird.
our riders send us voice notes like thank you or stuff like that. But it's definitely one of the major reasons why we went with them is because it's an ADA component to it. Some of our riders who can't visually see the text, they can hear our text. So we definitely wanted to have that feature added to our text alert system because we want to make sure that all of our riders are getting the same message. Our social media, and Director Amster, I'm gonna look at that when I get back to the list. Our social media platform continues to grow riders, and I think it's going to continue to grow because we're about to get in parade season as we participated in SSU's homecoming parade on Saturday, and so many more alerts, many more notifications on social media will be coming out with that. This is just a bigger breakdown of our social media platforms for all of our platforms that we are signed up for. So for our social media check-in in the month of September, we participated in community outreach, hosting events, participated in the graduation ceremony, and also sent out some holiday alerts. For the month of September, we released episode 8 of our CatCast and also a special edition of the Savannah Jazz Festival. Just to give you an alert for October, we wanted to focus on teams. So we teamed up with SSU's football team and Ghost Pirates for our episode 9 of the CatCast, which is out right now. We were mentioned in 23 newscasts in the media outlets. And that's all I have, but I wanted to thank everybody who participated in this last week of events for our SMART grants with our external advisory board and our pop-up event. It was a great success, and we definitely would like to tell you thank you for participating.
Thank you, Ariel.
Thank
Great
you.
report. All right, we will move on to the service delivery update with Dr. Meany. Dr. Meany, while you're getting your update, I do want to take a minute. I should have done this during my report. We have our 2 new chiefs who have joined us today, and I should have done this during my report. Our new CAO, Gerald Sanders. Gerald, if you could stand up, just wave. And Mary Muskowitz, who's been with us, I think, 2 weeks versus 1 week now. So, and you'll hear a report from Mary in a little bit, and then in the month of November, we'll get around to the realignment that needs to take place in order for the updates that go under the CAO to become provided. So in any event, I just wanted to take a moment to introduce the both of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Now I'm very jealous. All right. Thank you, Chairman Cody. Thank you, CEO Faye and executive team and the ATU officers joining us and the public watching us live. I'll start with my first slide, and this is all about fixed route and also our on-time performance. On-time performance is, I've been saying this since I've been here, it's a very essential key that we all have to be mindful. If the buses are on time, people will use our services. If it's reliable and it's on time. The campaign is to make sure that people will leave their vehicles in the garages and run our system. And that can only be done if the service is reliable. So we are very particular about monitoring our on-time performance. As we grow in manpower, so it's on-time performance going to be better. We are still short-staffed with 40 bus drivers, so we're doing little for more, and that's why most of the on-time performance is still very low, not up to the 70% that the board has said. So the month of September, we were 61 as compared to August, which was 66. This is not a number that I'm happy of, but as we have classes going on and we increase manpower, this number, the goal is to make sure at least we get to 70%.
Well, that has to do with having new drivers, you think?
Yeah, so what's happened is that some of the routes don't even go out, or if they do, it's like you're taking a block, 2 buses on the route versus 1. So you're catching up with everybody that is waiting. And that is not gonna make the bus to be on time. It's gonna be delayed because if it's more buses, the frequency is less. So you have buses running frequently. Now, once it's 1 instead of 4, you're catching everybody up. So by the time the bus gets to the time point, it's already late.
So you anticipate on October, that number improving by doing what?
So now I was gonna get to that, but I'll share that with you all. We have, for the first time, as I've been preaching about the CDA training, for the first time, we have 14 students in the class, which is almost close to half of what we need. Currently, we're short 40. And the class size of 14 plus another 5 in class. By the month of November, before the holidays, we should be pretty good shape.
Dr. Manny, you might mention too that out of that 14, if I'm recalling the numbers correctly, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, 9 of those are in the CDL training too, correct?
Yes.
So the CDL training that Dr. Manny has brought in-house, 9 of those will be able to do fixed route or other things that require CDL, so.
So thank you all, board members, for the campaign for CDL. I think the public are being aware, and we're having a very sizable class. So with that program, we anticipate that by the end of the year, we should be very close to probably 90%. Yeah. This is interesting. So we're short staff, we're not on time. Our time point is off, and still ridership is high. This shows that the demand is there. You know, people love our system, it's just that we don't have the manpower. And like I said, all the expansions and all on-time performance with manpower, we are in a good shape with everything that's going on. So if you look at the ridership from September comparing to August, at least it went up almost 0.9%. Now, the board has set up an average of 163,547. The month of September, we went 167,484. That is above what the board has set up for us. So to me, on a scoring grid, I think we did good. We probably A-. And next time we'll make sure that it's going to be more higher as we get the class graduate.
Man, let me make this. This is just me because I'm a visual person. When I saw that 167, without looking at that 166, I thought that was a deficit.
Oh no,
The
dash.
Yeah.
The dash should have been out.
That
Yeah.
either you make it all black, you know, when it's positive, and make it red when it's negative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing the red to just talk about the month that I'm talking of.
Yeah.
To compare to the
Well,
other month.
the dash is also
Yeah.
can be misinterpreted.
Yeah, it
as
makes sure it's
negative, so we
negative.
need to
Yeah.
take them
Yeah, make
off.
sure
Yeah.
it's a good thing, but it needs to.
Yeah. Okay, we'll make it all darker next time. Okay. All right. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're back to the paratransit. Now, this is interesting. If you all can recall, last month, the month of September, we had 12 drivers join us. And this time, it's a very good news to share with you. Only 2 dropped off. So out of the 12, 2 only left. In this industry, sometimes it's 50-50. So 12 having losing 2 is a good deal. We have 10 that joined the paratransit, and you're going to see better numbers in the next month report. That 10 that joined our service, we have never have any unscheduled services for paratransit. So I would say paratransit is almost close. We got 10 new vehicles that are going to be rolling out next week. So in all, we have 20 vehicles, and we are about 98% fully staffed for paratransit. We short about, I think, 3 or 4 drivers, which is way different when I first joined CAT. So that's a good news. The 90% is going to go up more, even better than what is the 93% for the target. We have adequate staff. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I just want to ask
Director.
a question about losing 2 of the 12 and working with the union to, retention should be an
Should be a
important
key,
thing for us
yeah.
because, we're short of drivers.
Yeah.
So what are we doing for retention? We go through training, it costs us money to do that, and if you lose 1, I think we lost 1 too many.
Yeah.
Because we're already behind the 8 ball. So what are we doing with the union to help us with the retention of these drivers? Some
Well,
things you can't help, I understand.
Yeah. It's a common practice in the industry when people come in and test the job out and, feel like this is not for me. But in terms of retention, it's a lot. I'm currently talking to the ATU president, Ms. Daniel, to find out what can we do to make people feel like coming to work. So we had a kickoff last week. You should have seen me, and I think next meeting I will be showing off my skills for tossing burgers and and cooking out for my drivers. So we did all cookout. Where I came from, Little Rock, we did that. We tested it out. Cooking out and mingle with everybody else was a key. So we did start that. That was last week. So we had everybody come in. We all, the executive staff were cooking. Drivers came in, line up, and I was serving them. So just to feel like we're all the same, we all together, and it went very well. Yeah, yeah. So just to change the morale and see that we all one family and we all can, be here together. So. Next slide, please. Now, this is also another good news. We had the 10 drivers join us, I think the 23rd of September. And all this increase came from just that 1 week having 10 drivers join us. Look at the difference. Almost 245 difference. Yeah, that's great. So, like I said, paratransit is almost done. We have 98% staff. Our vehicles, we have budgeted for 31 vehicles. Right now, we have 20 brand new vehicles. So if you have good fleet and you have adequate manpower, you should have a better system. So I'm proud with what paratransit is doing. I'm monitoring all the ridership every day. We used to have almost half of people that schedule couldn't even get picked up. Either it was a mechanical or no manpower. And since September, it's all gone. And schedule is just 0. And we have 3 or 4 bus drivers on extra board, which we never had extra board. By extra board means we have manpower waiting for something. If somebody call out, they will do relief. For the first time, paratransit has extra board. So this is good. And this is showing, and I believe next month I will have much better report for ridership and on-time performance. Next one, please. Now I'll ask the board members, if you don't like my PowerPoint presentation with the colors, I can change it. This is my own thing to impress you with my own colors. If they're too colorful, I can. Yeah. So on the ridership for Marine, remember last month, August, I said here I was very disappointed that the numbers were low, and partly was the hurricane and vacation was, down in the month of August. I always do analysis, like 3-year comparison analysis to see why is the change. And it's a trend that August the month of August, ridership on the marine are always down. And so we're picking up, the month of September, we have 54,468, which is very good, an increase of 8.5%. And I asked why? Why? Because people are still coming back in town, which is normal for September. And also they have a lot of conventions in town. They have a lot of, almost about 3 conventions in the month of September. Now, when we have convention, means people coming here using our convention center, traveling around. And so that's why the ridership was high in the month of September. And I'm happy to see numbers going up. That means people are enjoying our system. Next slide, please. And I'd like to say this to Dr. Robinson. Thank you so much. When the board travel around and they come up with good ideas that we can also use, it's always a motivation. I mean, I was impressed with the report you sent me, and did respond to you. And we have similar thing coming up, and I can share with you what our proposal. But thank you so much for sharing. So the mean distance between vehicles is how long can we run before our vehicles break down. So the higher this number, the better. And the national average is 14,000, and the board set our target to 12,000. So anytime this number goes above the target that the board set, it's a good thing. And last month we went 14,947. These vehicles are getting old, and we have a plan to refurbish them, and this will go away. What happens is that if a bus has all passengers on it and it breaks down, the time it takes for us to go swap that bus is of concern. So it's not a good thing. So last month was okay, and I asked the director for the department why this number went down. Pretty much the electric 6 buses, 2 of them had some technical problems, and they can also go out all day because we don't have NROD charges. So when they go out and the charge battery is just down, we have to bring them back to the garage. So if you put all that together, that's why the number is low. But on the breakdown, we did pretty good with the fixed route side, the diesel buses. Any questions before I go to my next slide? Okay, interesting news here. So if you can all recall that the online reservation was at some point was only six trips, and we did a campaign and asked the public to use our online reservation. When they do that, the call volume to the call center is low. If more people can do reservation online instead of calling. So I think the public heard me, and thank you for everybody watching us. The online reservation keeps going up. If you look at the graph, from September of last year to now, you can see that in June, it went up, and then August was even amazing. We had 71 trips. So this number is not how many people call, it's how many trips that was done on the online. September went up 181. So this number keep going up. That means that the public find a way to use our online reservation. And I encourage everybody watching this that if you can minimize the calling, the call center for paratransit reservation, and you can utilize our online reservation, is also good. It's less calls that goes to the call center. So this is very, very good news. As I say, this number go up. Now, this is how long can you wait on a call? This is the call center. So the board had a target of 60 seconds. So the board decided that 60 seconds when you call, you shouldn't wait more than 60 seconds. Last month, the month of August was 86 seconds. That's way higher than what the board had set at 60 seconds. September was even bad. And the reason is that the call center is short 3 staff, plus the supervisor just resigned 2 months ago. And so the less staff we have, the more people are gonna wait to get calls answered. And that's not something that we're proud of, and we're working hard on that. We have interviews lined up, and I think by next week, the manager informed me that potential 2 candidates might be joining us. So we hope to see this number go way down. 90 seconds on hold is just, it's not good. And so that's the reason why short staff. And also part of why people call the call center is if you stand at a bus stop and the bus don't show up, the only thing is you want to call the call center and say, why? Why is the bus not showing up? So it's a lot of stuff, why the volume, of course. And if you have more people calling in and you have less people answering the calls, then the wait time is going to be high. It's just simple as that. Yeah. So it's a staffing program, and I hope when we get these people on board, the wait time will go down. Yes. Now this is the volume of calls that goes to the call center. The board set it up to like an average, you should have about 14,771 calls per month coming in. Look at the month of September, it went very, very up. And like I said, if the car tracker, and partly also is that drivers leave the yard without logging in. We have now corrected that. We have supervisors. Me and Ms. Faye did a town hall meeting October 18th. We were here 5 in the morning. Me and Faye just greeting and asking them what's going on. And the supervisor was there with a tablet, making sure that every bus that lives here is logged in. And that is a key, because if the bus lives here and it's not logged in, you can't track them. So now you stand at the bus stop, you can't see the bus. The next thing you're going to do is you want to call the call center and find out, hey, what's the 14? The 17 didn't show up. So this is why we're doing this, that every morning, I took one of the supervisors to be here every morning, 4:30 in the morning, to make sure that every bus that lives here is logged in. At least the passengers can see the bus coming late. But if they don't see the bus showing up at all, they call the call center. This is why the call center volume is high. And so we're still going to be working when it comes to promote or campaign more about the use of the car tracker. And my last slide. There's a lot of stuff here, and I'll try to speed it up. So last month we had 10 drivers. Like I said earlier on, we had 12, 2 left us, and 10 are still here. So that's an increase for the paratransit workforce, which is always a good thing. And the proposed CDL training that I've been talking about since I've been here, for the first time, we have 14 new students. And the executive staff did talk to them yesterday, and they were all pleased to be here. And I warned them that if they leave, I will come knock on their door and bring them back. Yeah. So that's also good news. The CDL training is really a key. We cannot expand, we cannot change anything until we have enough manpower. And this is a very good sign that we're doing that. Also, 3 supervisors that didn't have a CDL, they took the test Thursday, and congratulations to my training manager, Mr. Swinton. 3 of them all passed the CDL test. So why is that? It's a requirement, because in an event that was short of drivers, the supervisors have to take a bus out. So part of the job requirement is to have a CDL. So we have only 1 left without a CDL. We're going to put him into the program. And so we're going to have all the supervisors with the CDL, so that when we short staff, they will take a bus out until we get coverage. So that's the plan. The paratransit fleet, like I said, we got 10 vehicles that came in. They're all registered. We got radio fare boxes on all of them. The goal is to roll them out to revenue service next Monday. And they're all out here if you all want to see. They're not different than the electric vehicle, except that these ones have engines and they run on gasoline. So they can go far and do more. The community bus surplus, I guess the board approved that for us to donate some of our vehicles. for the first time, we have more vehicles to give away, and we have less people that want them. We have 6 vehicles that, very good vehicles, and only 5 applicants applied to be part of it, which is strange. So we're gonna have one more donation vehicle left. So I guess we'll come back to the board and see what we have to do with that. But the board did approve the donation, and we put it out there. We did everything to, I did interview with the media to promote the idea that these vehicles are good and for a good cause. People should have them there. We have 5 applicants, and we'll come back to the board November presentation to give you the list of the organizations that did apply and are being awarded, and then take it to the next step to award it. The call center voicemail. Thank you, Director. We did find out that we had a lot of, when the board get involved, it's always a good thing. You guys want us to grow, and you guys want us to be successful. So every idea, I am on board welcoming them. So because of that, we did check and find out that all the voicemail were in a place that the manager didn't have access to them. And so now we have to make sure she had passcode and all the password and register her to be able to access the voicemail. So thank you, Director, and I appreciate that. So we're gonna have a very good report about, I created a template that will track all calls that come in and how we answer them and when do we answer them. And I'll bring that report to the board. So thank you. And my last slide, the happy hour slide. Okay. So this was when we had a graduation for the 12 drivers that joined paratransit, and you can see all our face. You see how Miss Faye is smiling. We're all happy. We're all very happy to have them. So this is a goal that we work so hard to bring people on board and move our system forward. And that's all I have. Any questions? Thank you all for listening.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Manning. We're going to move quickly through the planning and then get over to Ms. Cutter. So I know that we need to get to your break here shortly, so we can consider executive session. So if you can bring up the planning slides. One of the things I want to mention at the beginning of this report too is I hope that you saw in Snapshot last week, we were delighted, and thank you again to Directors Lockett, Stone, and Edminster for being there. And frankly to Director Edminster for alerting us to the fact that if the chamber comes and does a video of what you've got, what you've been nominated for, that means that you've won, because we were told we were a runner-up and we were actually not incredible. We had so much going on that day with the Smart Grant stuff that we were planning to stay here and be, but we got over there, and it was a really fine moment for Kat, and all 3 of the directors who were there got to join us on stage, and Madison was there as well from our marketing department. So incredibly excited to have won the Environmental Excellence Award. So next slide. Again, I wanted to introduce Mary Muskowitz. Again, she will now be your presenter moving forward as Chief of Planning and Infrastructure Development. We've got the ZEB plan adoption. Wanted to comment, remember that's the next plan piece that goes along with the master transit plan, the COA TDP work, and this is a requirement for our continued expansion and growth around that electric fleet and sustainability activities that we just won the award for, and that are an important part of CAT's commitment to growing green. On the THUD earmarks, I wanted to mention those are 2 earmarks that we got last year. One is for the paratransit maintenance facility, and the other is for the 3rd ferry, and they're partial funding for both of those things. That was a newer funding source, so it's THUD stands for Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development. And we are still working with our federal partners and many of our colleagues across the country in understanding exactly how to bring those earmarks online so that we can access them and move those projects forward. But nonetheless, we're continuing to work with the city of Savannah, who is working with us on a property donation for the paratransit maintenance facility, as well as with our partners on the ferry side to help advance that third ferry that'll sort of be the final one we need to bring online for now to address our aging fleet. And then the last thing is the SMART grant, external advisory board and stakeholder committee activities. I know Ariel mentioned that in her report. We had an extraordinary group of both local and national individuals who were here last week, including, and I think this is a very promising sign for phase 2 of the SMART grant, the brand new national director of the SMART grant program was here with us for 2 days. And could not have participated in a panel discussion on Thursday evening and could not have been more complimentary of specific pieces of our SMART grant work. So again, those 100% funding opportunities are very rare. We've got something really special that we've put forward, and it's continuing to help move CAT toward its future. Next slide. Any questions?
If I may, I
Yes.
got to, I snuck into the reception for the advisory committee. And I was blown away. I thought it was an incredibly tremendous group of people there, and I'm really excited to see this project move forward. And some of the compliments that CAT received, and also just the community as a whole received, from some people who spend their waking life working on transit and land use and community connections in a variety of different ways. It was very, very cool. I was quite impressed.
Absolutely. So we had the executive from Esri who was here, as well as, like I said, the national director, and their comments in particular were the ones that I paid special attention to, because they talked about, because they see projects all over the country and they were like, this is different. And this is how it's different. They were very specific in their observations. So again, we're very proud. I think our partnerships in particular seem to, in addition to the particular pieces of our project, seem to have really gotten a lot of positive attention for CAT and for Chatham County and the Savannah community. All right.
Since her name is on the agenda, can we hear from her?
Absolutely, please.
Hi.
How you doing?
I think it's afternoon. Yes. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you all for welcoming me so much. My name again is Mary Moskowitz, and I'm the new Chief Planning Officer here. My background, I come from Florida, so please don't hold that against me. But I am excited to be here in Savannah. This is where my mom was born and raised, and so it's like coming home being here. So I look forward to, I've met some of you, and I look forward to working with all of you. And everybody has been so welcoming, and it's been a great, great place to be. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And then we'll move on to our financial services update with CFO Cutter.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, union reps, colleagues, and the public at large. I'll be going over the financial update for the month of September, in addition to sharing with you HR recruitment stats. The first slide is a representation of the account balances. As you see, we compare July, August, and September. And what September reflects is a higher level of expenses primarily associated with us bringing on new employees. The chart also shows you still the growth in the investment account. We had a little over 35,000 in interest earnings. The graph shows the comparisons, July, August, and September. The bottom of the chart is an overview of the grant funding that came in during the month of September, totaling a little over $2.5 million. Our August transit tax collections that we received in September totaled $578,974, and it's broken down by category. A graphical representation of comparing the transit tax revenues and then the Georgia Fund investment account revenues for the month. As I mentioned earlier, the interest for the month, $35,956. The beginning balance, $8.1 million. A balance at the end of September, $8,182,312. We are exceeding our 3 months of operations budget. Our expenses by division is listed in the chart. The monthly cost of operations, a little over $2 million for the month of September, a little over $6 million for the first quarter of the fiscal year. The graph represents our expenses by category. The bulk of Chatham area's transit budget is dedicated to salaries and wages, and of course, employee benefits. Our recruitment stats for the month are listed in this chart. Is very detailed. It provides the number of applications received for the month, 107. Applicants not qualified for the positions applied, 46. We extended 10 offers and had 4 new hires in the month of September. Total vacancies company-wide at the end of September, 72. This slide represents an overview of where we are in the recruiting process. Some positions, of course, are on hold until we completely transition and other opportunities freeze up. But this is the status. As you can see, the recruitment of drivers in critical positions are ongoing. Total vacancies as of October 10th, total 70. The action items on the agenda today already discussed, listed here, brought forward by the Financial Services and Compliance Committee. And that concludes my report. Are there any questions, comments?
I do have one, but I'm gonna send mine in an email.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Robbins.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you, Ms.
Cutter. All right, Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. We're gonna go into executive session. We're gonna take a break, grab something to eat. We need about 10 minutes. All right, at this time, I wanna adjourn until we
We
go
need a
into.
motion, right, to go into.
Yeah, we need a motion.
Second.
All right. Evelyn, we got a motion in a second. We're gonna, for the executive session, so we're gonna take a break, 10 minutes. Yes,
They did have a motion in second already.
I've got to go.
yes.
Good luck in the executive session. I think you guys will be fine. And great meeting. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And let me know what we're gonna do with the working group.
Yes.
All right. I sent Adams the transit app as just a thing to get started. All right, I gotta go.
So I'm very grateful.
No,
Made the motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Chairman,
yes, sir.
could you announce, the purposes of going into executive session?
Yes. And the purpose we'll be going into executive session would be to discuss potential litigation.
That's fine. Thank you.
We have a roll call vote.
Yes, sir, we could do a roll call vote, please. And it was motion by?
It was a motion by Lockett and a second by Director Stone. No, Taft.
Never mind.
Ms. DeMassimo,
Yes, sir.
is Andrew queued up for the executive session?
He is, sir, but I haven't heard back from him yet. I've reached out to him to let him know kind of now about where he is, sort of, because they need to break for a moment for lunch. So I told him 1:30. But I hadn't heard
Okay.
back from him yet.
Okay, that's good. He's the one who has the information you'll need.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Butler, I'm gonna go ahead and start the breakout room.
Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you. It'll take you like 2 minutes.
Okay, well, you can take longer than that if you want to.
Okay.
I think y'all might be tired of carrying me out places. I can't start. Please, carrots, please, they're good.